आता येते बोला हॅलो कदम सर सरांचा आवाज येतोय का बघा
सर येतोय आवाज येते काय प्रॉब्लेम नाही.
हा हा
हा म्यूट करा आता काय प्रॉब्लेम नाही.
बीट करा
अवघडे
हा
सर माईक म्यूट करा तुमचा.
हा बोला हॅलो
हॅलो
हॅलो माझा आवाज येतोय का तिकडे? येतोय?
हा येतोय सर येतोय.
हां ॲडमिट ओके. सर नक्की येतोय बोलू शकतो का मी आता माझा नक्की येतोय ना आवाज?
हो येतोय
हॅलो
आवाज काय प्रॉब्लेम नाही येतोय.
हां ठीक आहे. मग आता सुरू करायचं का?
एक अजून एक 5 मिनिटाने.
बरं बरं ठीक आहे. म्हणजे पहिल्यांदा मीच बोलणार आहे मग नंतर मेन जे स्पीकर आहेत त्यांना बोलणार आहे ते बोलणार आहेत बरं का.
ठीक आहे चालेल.
ओके ओके ओके.
हा म्यूट करा माईक तुम्ही.
म्यूट करू का इथं?
हा तो पण म्यूट करा आणि बोलताना फक्त ऑन करा.
म्यूट करा.
चालू करायचंय. अरे बापरे, आवाज जातोय तिकडं.
हॅलो मोरे सर, आवाज काय येणार रे? हॅलो
हा सर, येतोय आवाज आपला.
हा नमस्ते, मी कांबळे सर बोलतोय.
हा ठीक आहे, ठीक आहे.
रामानगर कॉलेज पॉलिटिक्स.
ठीक आहे, ठीक आहे, चालेल. सर माईक बंद करा.
हा
माईक बंद करून घ्या.
हा ठीक आहे. अवघडे सर, अवघडे सर.
हॅलो,
हॅलो.
ऐकायला येते का?
हो हो,
येते सर.
ऐकायला येते सर.
आवाज आहे ना, क्लिअर आहे ना?
हो हो.
सर
व्हिडिओ
तुम्हाला को
व्हिडिओ
होस्ट करतो.
होय होय होय.
ठीक आहे, मी तुम्हाला
पण
screen sharing ला बरोबर.
त्यामध्ये एक अडचण अशी असते,
हा.
ते जॉईन व्हायसाठी सारखे येत असतात आणि ते सारखा मेसेज येतो.
नाही, तुम्ही काय करू नका, मी
हा.
हँडल करतो. तुम्ही काय करू नका.
हा, ते तेवढं लक्षात घ्या.
चालेल.
आवाज क्लिअर आहे, व्हिडिओ क्लिअर आहे.
हो, काय प्रॉब्लेम. सर तुम्हाला
संजित
होस्ट
सर.
केलं.
हा.
हा, संजित सर,
हा
मी
सर,
सुरू
चालू
करतोय
करा, काय
थोडं.
हरकत नाही.
हा
ओके, नो प्रॉब्लेम.
हा, संजित सर,
हा
सुरू करू ना?
हा, करा सर.
Good morning, all of you. As we all know that coronavirus affected more than 95 countries among the world, and we are trying to fight against it. Coronavirus affected many social institutions like society, culture, and economy. Regarding this, the Department of Economics and IQAC is going to organize a national level webinar on the topic impact of COVID-19 on Indian economy and policy forward under the guidance and motivation and support of our principal, Dr. Rajendra More sir. Thus, on behalf of the IQAC and Department of Economics, I welcome today's main speaker, Dr. P.S. Kamble. I also welcome our Honorable Principal, Dr. R.S. More sir. I also welcome Dr. B.D. Avghade sir and his team. I also welcome all the participants, research scholars, students, and coordinator of the IQAC. Here, it is an opportunity to introduce today's speaker, Professor Dr. P.S. Kambe sir. it is very difficult to introduce within a very few time to his biodata and his contribution in various fields. Even though I would like to highlight such points which are very important for us to know about the speaker. Sir presently is working at uh, Shivaji University, Kolhapur, as a professor at the Department of Economics, Shivaji University, Kolhapur. Sir has more than 31 teaching experience. During the period, Sir has doing a lot of contribution in academic and administrative also. Under the guidance of Sir, Dr. P.S. Kambe Sir, 11 students completed their PhD and 13 students had completed their MPhil degree, and some students are still doing their research under the guidance of Dr. P.S. Kambe sir. Sir has published more than 46 international research papers. Sir has submitted two major research projects to UGC, and Sir also has written 11 books and 10 books are edited. Sir also visited out of India, that is Singapore and Japan, regarding this academic and administrative purpose. Without wasting too much time between speaker and listener, I would like to request Honorable Dr. P.S. Kamble sir to deliver the enlightening lecture for us. We are eagerly waiting, sir. I request again, sir, please deliver your lecture. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Very good morning, one and all.
Hmm.
I am very much thankful to R.R. Patil College Sawalas for organizing such a wonderful activity under its IPAC coordination. I am very much thankful to Principal Sir, Dr. More. I am thankful to Dr. B.D. Avgade. I am also thankful to all faculty members of this college, dear participants and delegates. Really, it's a pleasure and a moment of proud feel to deliver a lecture in the national webinar that has been organized by this college. All of us know in the introductory part also, Dr. Fulchand tries to explain before us the background in which this seminar has been organized. All of us know not only India but the globe as a whole has been suffering from a very important problem, that is COVID-19. And it is not just a health related problem. It is also growth, economy, development and society related problem as well. And therefore it is very much necessary, it is urgently needed so as to explain and analyze the various issues, dimensions and aspects of this problem. And it is again this backdrop I am going to deliver a lecture on impact of COVID-19 on Indian economy and a policy forward. So far as my lecture is concerned, prominently it is divided into 3 to 4 sections. Section 1 will talk about what is the present position of infection from COVID-19 virus. What's its salient features? What's its peculiarities? Because those peculiarities have policy implications. Those have policy implications. Number 2, what is the impact of this COVID-19, some of the measures that we adopted in dealing with the control and impact of COVID-19 virus, and how it is affecting, how it has affected Indian economy and Indian society. That is, I'm going to analyze and explain. Number 3 section is also very much important. That will talk about what are the determinants, what are the factors which are responsible so far as such a impact of COVID-19 on Indian economy. In the 4th part of my lecture, I will try to discuss before you what Government of India measures have been implemented, are being implemented, so as to tackle the impact of COVID-19 on Indian economy. And in the last part of my lecture, I will try to place before you what should be the direction of, what should be the forward direction of policy of the Government of India, so as to realize and materialize 2 or twin objectives. Number 1, it is urgent need of the hour to improve and speed up economic growth of India. And on the other, it is also necessary to endeavor for controlling infection of COVID-19 that is increasing continuously. Thus, in this backdrop, my lecture is limited to nature, extent, and peculiarities of the COVID-19 infection in India. Number 2, its impact on Indian economy. Number 3, what are the determinants or factors which are responsible so far as such a deepest impact on the economy of India. Then, what policy measures the Government of India has been implementing. And lastly, what should be the policy direction so far as so as to realize improvement in growth and control over the infection of COVID-19 virus that is taking place. Now, I want to share my screen so that it will be more effective. Is it visible? Screen is visible? Screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, please make it full screen.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, already I have mentioned that my lecture has 3 to 4 parts. Trends in COVID-19 infected cases, their peculiarities or features, impact on Indian economy, what are the contributors, what are the determinants. As the result of that, such a deepest impact on Indian economy has been observed, it is being found. Then what Government and Reserve Bank of India has been trying so as to combat impact on Indian economy and society as well. And in the last part, what should be a policy to be adopted, to be prepared, and to be implemented by the government. As the result of that, on the one hand, we have to improve economic growth, and on the other, it is also necessary to control the number of cases infected from COVID-19. So first of all, what are the trends in COVID-19 so far as Indian economy is concerned? Now I am trying to place before you what is the present position of COVID-19 virus infected cases in India today. In India today, we have 6,25,544 cases in all. Today we have 6,25,544 cases total. Out of that, 2,27,439 are active cases. The total number of cured cases is 3,79,892, and the total number of deaths that has taken place till date today is 18,230. When this entire scenario of the total number of cases infected from COVID-19 virus is to be taken into account, its state-wise analysis is also required. And the reason is simple. The reason is that the coverage of COVID-19 infected cases is not on the entire country, not on the entire, all the states in the India as a whole, but some of the states which are prominent and dominant, so far as the infection from COVID-19 cases is concerned. This requires to make a comparison of what is the total number of major states which have contributed to the growth and coverage of infection from COVID-19 virus. There are major 5 states which have contributed a lion's share in the total number of cases infected from COVID-19 virus. Which are they? Number 1 is Maharashtra. Number 2, Tamil Nadu. Number 3, Delhi. Number 4, Gujarat. Number 5, Uttar Pradesh. And these 5 states have contributed 70% of total number of cases infected from COVID. 70% cases have been contributed, have been given by these 5 states. In these 5 states, already I have mentioned, Maharashtra is in leading position. It ranks first so far as its contribution to the total number of infected cases from COVID-19 in India. And it is 1,86,626, which is followed by Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu has contributed 98,392 cases. Delhi has contributed 92,175 cases in all, and Gujarat has contributed 33,913 cases total, which is followed by Uttar Pradesh, and the contribution of Uttar Pradesh is 24,825. The state-wise analysis of total number of cases infected from COVID-19 has one peculiarity. In these 5 states, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu and Delhi are having dominant position. Their contribution is very prominent. Their share is very prominent, and that requires to be taken into consideration so far as the policy implications for India and the society as a whole, so as to combat infection control on the one hand, and on the other, revival and recovery of economic growth in the economy as a whole. Now, so far as the state analysis is taken into account, it is Gujarat which has the highest rate of recovery, which is 73%, 72.52. Then Uttar Pradesh has a recovery rate of 69.37. Then it is Delhi which has a recovery rate of 68.36%, and Tamil Nadu has a recovery rate of 57%. In these 5 states, the recovery rate of Maharashtra is the least in these 5 states, not compared to the all states. It is 54.21%. But this across the states analysis is not sufficient and adequate so as to identify what is the intensity, gravity, and extent of the spread of COVID-19 infection in the country like us. And that perspective is, in the country like us, there are a few metropolitan cities which are the lion's share contributor to the total number of infected cases from COVID-19. Number one is Delhi. Previously it was Mumbai, but that rank has been changed recently only. Previously Mumbai was in the leading position. It was in first rank. But now scenario has changed in few days only. That is, Delhi stands first with 92,175 cases. Mumbai has 80,699 cases. Chennai has 62,598 cases. Thane has 41,349 cases. Pune, 24,432 cases, which is followed by Ahmedabad, Hyderabad. Then we have Kolkata, Palghar. Then these are the major contributors. So far as the metropolitan cities analysis to be taken into consideration in the total number of cases infected from COVID-19. As all of us know, it is a global problem. It is not just a problem of India. And therefore, it is inevitable, it is also necessary what the position of the total number of cases in the globe as a whole is also there. And till date today in the world, in all, 11 million cases have been there infected from COVID-19. Today, 11 million total number of cases in the globe as a whole, of which 5,24,879 deaths have been taken place in the world, and 6.18 million have been recovered. Now, this is some of the salient features of the infection from COVID-19. So far as the across the countries analysis is taken into account, America is in leading position, followed by England, Italy, Brazil, France, Spain, Germany, Iran, India, that is there. In the India as a whole, there are some countries already I have some states, few states, which are major contributors. Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat, Telangana, major contributors. All others have minor cases or total number of cases infected from COVID-19. This talks about the mortality rate and fatality rate, that is the rate of death and sickness across the countries in the world. And the developed countries, Belgium is there, Spain is there, UK is there. They are the highest rate of this sickness and death rate compared to the other countries. Now, this is very important for India. All of us know, in all, 4 lockdowns have been completed, and 5th lockdown is in progress. In between, first unlock is there, And second unlock is also going on. It can differ across the states, but it is a policy of the government of India. For your kind information, our first unlock started from 1st June. And from 1st June, you can see in this slide, the total number of infected cases from COVID-19 are increasing continuously and rapidly. It has policy implications. So we should take into account that. Supplementary to that, after 24th March, lockdown started and the cases has been started increasing. In between, the total number of cases infected rising, total number of recovery also rising, but a difference is there. Number of deaths also rising. That's also a salient feature which is necessary to be taken into account. All of us know, so as to control growing infection of COVID-19 virus, we adopted on 23rd March social curfew, and after 24th March we have adopted lockdown policy. In between, we are also using use of sanitizer, use of hand wash, use of mask, physical distancing, safe distancing. These are also measures that we are implementing. This figure tries to explain before us. Up to second lockdown, the lockdown policy was effective. It controlled the total number of infected cases in India. But after second lockdown, when it completed third and others, the policy of lockdown has become ineffective. It has become ineffective. And consequently, after second lockdown, the total number of cases, total number of deaths has been increasing continuously rapidly. And this gap between these two curves shows inefficacy, ineffectiveness of the policy of lockdown that has been adopted by government of India. Again, the same features are being explained by this figure. That is, after lockdown, up to second lockdown, it was effective, it was considerable. But after that, it didn't succeed. The total number of cases infected, total number of deaths taken place, that has been increasing, as well as the recovery is also increasing. That is also peculiarity which is necessary to be taken into account. This talks about, all of us know, the treatment to the patient of COVID-19 infected is being given in public sector or government hospitals. And initially, private hospital was just closed. Those closed private hospitals, they didn't contribute, didn't help. But with the passage of time, government continuously forced them to facilitate, to give treatment to the other diseases than COVID-19 infection, as well as some other facilities which are required. Here, this figure talks about what is the availability of the beds in India. And the availability of beds in India is to 1,000 population. Availability of bed is less than 1. Less than 1. That is 0.53. You can calculate for 100. It will come to 0.005. This is availability of beds in India so far as the treatment to be given to the COVID-19 patient in the country like us. Now, all of us know, unless and until we are in a position to identify that person or that patient is suffering from COVID-19, we are not in a position to give any treatment. Actually, at this moment, all of us know we don't have any vaccine, we don't have any, but the supplementary subordinate treatment that is being given of the other diseases so as to control at least the growing intensity of this COVID-19 infection. So this requires to carry out test of the person, test of the people. And unfortunately, in India, the total number of tests taking place is just inadequate. It's just meager. Initially, it was just 802 for million population. You can convert in terms of 100. For 100, I think it comes at 8 like that. Very meager, very meager testing facilities available in India. That I want to bring to your notice. With the passage of time, some improvement has taken place, but it is not sufficient. It is not adequate. It is not to the extent desirable. It is not to the extent required. With the passage of time, the total number of tests to 1 million population taking place in India is 2056. When we try to make a comparison with other countries, because already I have mentioned that COVID-19 infection is not a problem of only India, it is a problem of the globe as a whole. Take example in America, to 1 million population, 43,404 tests are carried out. In Russia, more than that, Germany, 52,923 to 1 million population. And our 2056. Even in Iraq, 9,000. In Brazil, it is 3,000, more than 3,000. So, it is inadequate along with the hospital facility and in the country like us is concerned. So the patients which infected from COVID-19, male, dominantly male, their proportion is 76. And so far as age profile, age is taken into account, less than 40 age, 47% patients are there. And in the age group 40 to 60, it is 43%. And greater than 60, it is 19%. As a result, the deaths which are taking place, that is also in the same peculiarity that I am trying to place before you. That is, infection is prominently in the age group less than 40, but deaths are in the age group more than 60. And one of the peculiarities is those people who are suffering from other diseases, blood pressure is there, kidney problem is there, sugar problem is there. Those have been hit by the COVID-19 infection. And as the result of that, this talks about what is the profile of deaths of patients that have taken place in the country like us. And it is found that the patients in the age group above 60, their percentage is higher. It is 9%. For others, it is lower. And for male, it is 2.6, and for female, it is 3. And the total mortality rate is about 3% as per this statistical information. Now, up to this point, till this moment, what I was trying to bring to your notice is that the intensity of the problem of COVID-19 infection is severe. We should not take it casually. We should not take it very easily and simply. That is not the problem. The problem is very, very, very serious. It is of higher gravity and intensity. And therefore, the number of patients increasing. Already I have tried to place before what is the today's position. at national level, at state level and city level as well. And therefore, we should take it very seriously. We should not take it very casually. Now, this is affecting Indian economy. Because we adopted, all of us know at this moment, there is no vaccine, there is no medicine. And so as to control and combat infection of COVID-19 virus, we have adopted hand wash, measure of sanitizer, measure of safe distancing, measure of face mask. Already I have mentioned on 23rd March we adopted social curfew, and since 24 March we have adopted lockdown. Lockdown 1 completed, 2 completed, 3 completed, 4 completed, and 5th is going on. And unlock 1 completed, unlock 2 started. That is there. Now, what this lockdown policy that we are adopted, first of all of us know, you should know that no any planning was there, no any pre-intimation was there, that we are going for lockdown, we are going for lockdown policy, no planning was there. No necessary information was there. No pre-intimation was there. All sectors of the society, all productive sectors, society, people, strata, no information was there. Like that of demonetization. Haphazardly, quickly, immediately, decision was taken. And that created number of problems. Lockdown policy resulted in stoppage of all economic activities. Agriculture, industry, service, consequently, that adversely affected economic growth of India. For your kind of information, we measure economic growth in terms of GDP. And this figure shows trends in GDP of India. If the period is divided into 2 parts, pre-lockdown and post-lockdown period, in the post-lockdown period, there is a significant fall in the GDP growth rate of India. This is a pre-lockdown period, and this is a post-lockdown period. The GDP growth rate of India is continuously falling, continuously decreasing. Why this is happening? It is because of lockdown policy. Because no economic activity, no industry, no agriculture, no labor, no service sector was in working, it was in operation. And consequently, GDP of India showed a rapid fall, a significant fall. In the world, it is said that after Great Depression, such economic growth, the deepest economic growth, impact on economic growth was not observed. And for the country like us, it is more than 45 years. Such a deepest adverse impact on economic growth of India was not observed. And this, the cause is it is because of the lockdown policy that we have adopted that is there. Now, these are the quarter-wise growth rates of India. Before lockdown policy, in the 4 quarters, GDP growth of India was 7.1%, 6.2%, 5.6%, 5.83%. And in the year 2021, it is 5.6%, 5.1%, 4.7%, and recently it is less than 3% or about 3%. All of us know International Monetary Fund is monitoring impact of COVID-19 on economy of the globe as a whole. And it is found that Geeta Gopinath is the chief economist of International Monetary Fund, and she belongs to India. According to her, in the year 1920, the GDP growth rate of India will be 1.9%. And it is true. It has come to less than 1.9%. For China, it will be 1.2%. For America, it will be 6.1%. For world, it will be minus 3%. The case of India is different from that of other countries because in the budget of 2021, we have adopted objective of or determined objective of realizing Indian economy of 5 trillion US dollars. And in the 2021, we are expecting economic growth of double-digit growth, because we have to realize economic growth of 3 trillion US dollars. 3 trillion US dollars. In this backdrop, when we try to take into account trends in GDP of India, it is just meager, it is just insignificant, it is just marginal, and that is of crucial importance, which is necessary to be taken. World Bank has also given some data about the GDP of India on 9th June 2020. And it said, in the year 2021, growth rate of India will be minus 3.2%. Minus 3.2%, not positive. For China, it will be 1%. For America, it will be minus 7%. For world as a whole, 5% that is there. Then recently only, one of the forecasting about the GDP of India have been given by World Development Bank on 25th June in the report World Economic Outlook. And in this World Economic Outlook, it talks about what will be growth rate of India. First of all, World Bank says it will be minus 5% for the world, globe as a whole. And for India, it will be decreased by 4.5%. Fall will be by 4.5% from 1.9%. And according to State Bank of India, there will be a 40% decrease in economic growth of India during the quarter of April to June of the year 2021. One of the rating agencies there in India, that is IND-RA, that is India Rating Research. And according to that agency, in 1920, growth rate of India will be minus 5.3%, which is the lowest in the last 20 years. And for recovery after 21-22, possibility of recovery is there, according to this IND-RA agency that is there. The Reserve Bank of India also given estimates of what will be GDP growth of India. And according to Reserve Bank of India, for current year, that is 2021, it will be 0. And for the coming year, it will be minus. All of us know Indian economy is dominated by 3 productive sectors: agriculture, industry, service. And prominently, Indian economy is a service-dominated, service sector-dominated country than the agriculture and industry. In this backdrop, when we try to take into account growth in these sectors, it is found that all growths, quarterly growths of agriculture, industry, mining, manufacturing, and services also show falling trend. Now, all of us know that when we try to take into account history of world as a whole, or economic history of the world, it is found that the countries which have succeeded in achieving industrial development, those have been emerged out as industrially developed countries as well as economically developed countries. And in this backdrop, industry sector plays a very important role in speeding up growth and development of the economy, and consequently recovery of the economy, revival of the economy as a whole. In this backdrop, when we try to take into account impact of lockdown policy on industry sector, it is found that in the post-lockdown period, the industry sector grew at minus 18%. Industry sector grew at the rate of minus 18%. Minus 18%, you can just imagine. And in the pre-lockdown period, it was lower, but not minus. It was lower, but not minus. That is a significant adverse impact of the lockdown policy that we observe on the industry sector. that is there. So this talks about industrial production month-wise, month to month. And that also shows fall in industrial production by 10% or minus 10%, minus 2.7%. That is industrial growth. You take quarter-wise or month-wise, it has a very rapid fall, very decreasing trend that is necessary to be taken into account. Now, some industries production can be considered, how it is affecting. Take example, steel production. Steel production has rapidly decreasing. It has been decreasing rapidly. Take example, in April 20, it was just this, you can observe graph and the bar. And before lockdown, this was significantly higher. And after lockdown, a rapid fall is observed in the production of steel. More or less, cement production is also same position. In April, this much production took place. And in the previous months, previous years, production was comparatively significant. Then this talks about car production as an industry when it is considered. Car production fall rapidly up to this is a post-lockdown period, and you can observe how rapidly car production is taking place. Now, construction activity also has an impact. Mining production is also it declined, but to that extent it didn't decline. Now, in the industry sector, the total industry sector decreased by 38%. And out of that, core industries, cement decreased by 86%, electricity production decreased by 23%, fertilizer production decreased by 4.5%, crude oil production decreased by 6.3%. Now, all of us know we introduce India as an agriculture country, and how this lockdown policy that we adopted affected agriculture, that is also of crucial importance to consider. And here you can observe in January 20, agriculture production was this much. And after that, in the post-lockdown period, agriculture production has been declined. Actually, this talk about how the growth rate is decreasing. It is minus only. Growth of food grains, pulses, oil seeds, cotton. It has registered only a negative growth rate in the post-lockdown period. Actually, in this 2021, the Kharif season was it was adverse. Rainfall was adequate. It was excessive, and the crisis of flood was there. So even rainfall was adequate. It was excessive. Kharif season was it adversely affected, but Rabi season was favorable. But because of lockdown policy, when we closed all activities, transportation was not there, market was not there, no communication was there, no contact was there. It required to dispose of agriculture production, that of fruits, that of vegetables, and also that led to decrease in production of wheat and rice as well. This, on the one hand, take example, production of mango, watermelon, cauliflower, cabbage, tomato, vegetables, paddy, wheat decreased in the Rabi season because of the lockdown policy. No transport was there, no logistics was there, no market was open, and consequently that adversely affected. Here I want to cite one example. Watermelon season, during watermelon season, lockdown policy was adopted, and last year price for wholesale price for 1 unit of watermelon was 10 rupees. But because of this lockdown policy, that farmer was getting 1 rupee only to that unit. Such a loss to the farmer took place because of the lockdown policy. Even rainfall, natural conditions were favorable. Because of lockdown, because of closing of economic activities, entire activities that adversely affected, even Rabi season was favorable. It was converted into unfavorable or adverse because of this policy. Now, this was on the one hand taking place, but on the other hand, in cities and metropolitan cities, prices of some of the agriculture commodities were rising. It led to, in rural areas, economic loss to the farmers, damage of agriculture produce, damage of vegetables, damage of fruits. And on the other, in the cities and metropolitan cities, because of rising prices, it overburdened customers in cities and metropolitan cities because prices of some of the agriculture commodities rose. Take example, some of the commodities, their prices how rose that I am trying to place before you. Prices of cereals and products rose from 1.2% in 2019 to 8%. Then milk product prices rose by 9.4%. Oil and fats prices rose by 10.8%. Then vegetables prices rose by 24%. Thus, on the one hand, production was sufficient, adequate, and it was disposed of instead of selling in market because no market was there, no transport was there. But in cities and metropolitan cities, it couldn't reach, and consequently, whatever was available, whatever was reaching, that led to rise in continuous prices of these vegetables. This talks about how the poultry production has been decreasing. All of us know it was misguided that coronavirus is there in chicken, coronavirus is there in milk also, coronavirus is there in mutton, and consequently that led to a very huge loss to the owners. This poultry production, you can see how rapidly it decreased. That is necessary to be taken into account. Already I have mentioned that even though we introduce India as agriculture country, in reality, India is a service sector dominated economy. And therefore, it is of crucial importance to assess the impact of this lockdown policy on service sector. Take an example, ease of doing business talks about how service activities are taking place. And when this is found, it is observed that in the post-lockdown period, those have been rapidly fallen. Those have been decreased very rapidly. And that indicates how service sector also has been adversely affected by the lockdown policy that we have adopted so as to control the infection from the COVID-19 virus. But already I have mentioned before you, up to second lockdown policy, it was well and good. It helped in controlling infection, but later on, it didn't succeed much. It didn't help much so far as the control of infection is concerned. Now, in service, all of us know trade is a service, and this talks about how the balance of trade is there. It is decreasing, even though it is minus. Its volume, its magnitude is significantly lower. Tourism. If tourism as a service is taken into account, how the number of tourists it is decreasing. It shows, and that is an indicator of how service sector has been adversely affected. Capital inflows into Indian economy that show a negative trend, and that negativity is there in the post-lockdown period. That is also there. Now this talks about use of internet. All people cannot make use of internet. Some of the people are using, but that has also a declining trend. This talks about again internet. Till this moment, what I try to place before you is the policy of lockdown that we adopted, which has no planning, which was just haphazard, no pre-intimation, no any preparation, no any background, no any information, that very adversely affected Indian economy in terms of economic growth, in terms of industrial development, in terms of agriculture development, in terms of service sector development that is there. And prominently, this led to fall in employment generation and very adverse effect on the unemployment rate. I will talk later on this particular point, employment generation and rate of unemployment. Now, how to analyze why this happened? Why this happened? This can be analyzed in the framework of theory. In theory, all of us know economic growth is determined by prominent four factors, four determinants. One is consumption expenditure, another is investment expenditure, third is government expenditure, and fourth is international trade, that is net exports. And these determinants and the indicators, parameters, relating to these indicators are taken into account, it is found that they have a very negative trend. They have a very adverse trend, and henceforth, I am trying to place before you how the indicators of economic growth, that is consumption, investment, government expenditure, and international trade in general, and exports in particular, have been adversely affecting on economic growth of India, that is GDP, then industry sector, agriculture, service sector, consequently employment generation, labor, migrant labor, and poverty that is there. Now, all of us know consumer expenditure is indicated by consumer confidence. When consumer is confident, he spends more. If he is not confident, he doesn't spend. And in the post-lockdown period, you can see consumer confidence is decreasing continuously. It is decreasing rapidly. That indicates that consumer couldn't spend because he didn't have purchasing power. He didn't have purchasing power because employment generation was not there, unemployment was growing rapidly, and no purchasing power was there. And therefore, demand, consumption demand, consumer demand was decreasing. Now, this talks about consumption expenditure. And consumption expenditure, these are absolute figures. Even you can make this comparison. This comparison also says in the post-lockdown period, a fall or decrease in the consumption expenditure has taken place. Now, this talks about what we call it as a consumer price index. And consumer price index also shows a falling trend because lower the demand, lower the prices, and falling trend that is there. Now, this talks about what we call it as a purchasing managers index, and that is for the economy as a whole. For all commodities and services, this indicates demand. And it is observed that in the post-lockdown period, a rapid fall is observed in the total purchasing managers index. What does this mean? This means that the total demand, we call it as aggregate demand. Aggregate demand for all commodities and services have a decreasing trend, have a falling trend, and that contributed adversely on economic growth and sectors of the economy. Now, all of us know economic growth is contributed by investment expenditure. And investment is done through loans by banks and financial institutions. And this figure talks about how the loans given by banks have been declining trend. And in the post-lockdown period, how it is decreasing. The loans and advances given by the banks and financial institutions, that is an indicator that loans are decreasing, investment is decreasing, and consequently capital formation in the post-lockdown period also decreasing, and that is adversely affecting so far as economic growth of Indian economy is concerned. Now this talks about how service sector was contributed, and all of us know business expectations index that takes into account how business environment is there in India. Is it conducive? If investment can be undertaken, if purchase and sale can be carried out. And this index shows how the India business expectation index has declined rapidly, especially in the post-lockdown period compared to the pre-lockdown period. And it contributed very significantly to the growth of service sector in India and consequently economic growth of the Indian economy as a whole. All of us know investment is also done by foreign investment, and foreign direct investment also in the post-lockdown period has a rapid declining trend because no transaction was there, no trade was there, everything was locked down, everything was stopped, and foreign direct investment also declined. This talks about industry sector growth, and purchasing managers index of manufacturing sector shows a rapid growth. It shows that the demand for manufactured commodities in the post-lockdown period also have declined very rapidly, have decreased very rapidly, and consequently it contributed adversely the development of manufacturing sector in particular and industry sector in general. Now this talks about capacity utilization. That is, of the total capacity, just capacity utilization decreased rapidly. It was continuously decreasing. It is about less than 70%. And lower the capacity, lower the production, and lower the growth. That took place, that was there. so far as the contribution to economic growth is concerned. Now, one of the important determinants of economic growth, GDP, agriculture, industry, service sector, that is government expenditure. And all of us know J.M. Kent said, public expenditure plays a very important role in growth and development of the economy. And during Great Depression from 29 to 33, it is because of J.M. Kent's contribution through the general theory, world economy, American economy, all the economies of the globe were revived. And it is in this backdrop, public expenditure, government expenditure plays a very important role in the growth and development of the economy. When it is taken into account, public expenditure is decreasing. It has a falling trend in the post-lockdown period. This talks about how the government expenditure, fiscal expenditure has declined very rapidly. It has declined very rapidly. You can make a comparison in this April 20 with the pre-lockdown period, a rapid fall and a significant margin difference is observed. And that we can identify how the fiscal expenditure of India is, it is decreasing. Now, this talks about purchasing managers index for service sector. How the demand for services declined in the post-lockdown period because of closing of activities, because of fall in employment generation, because of increasing unemployment, because of loss of life and livelihoods. How that resulted in fall in service sector, and you can observe here, purchasing manager index for service sector has very rapidly declined here compared to the pre-lockdown period that is there. So this talks about how the trade of India, how the exports and imports of India are showing a trend, trend that is indicated by these figures, that how exports are decreasing, especially vehicle exports are decreasing. It is decreasing very rapidly. Then exports of fruit and nuts, how those are decreasing in the post-lockdown period compared to the pre-lockdown period. Then this is export of other commodities, how it is decreasing, that is observed. And even along with exports, import is also decreasing. Take example, dairy produce, how the imports are decreasing. That also shows export and import combination is trade, but export is more important, and export has a very important adverse effect of the lockdown policy that we have adopted. Now, just I will try to place before you export of some of the commodities, how that adversely affected in the post-lockdown period. Take example, oil mills export decreased by 70%. Export of meat and dairy decreased by 45%. Export of engineering commodities decreased by 42%. Export of leather and leather goods decreased by 37%. In the post-lockdown period, total export of India decreased by 60%. Decreased by 60%. And this talks about how the export decline, consequently, it adversely affected economic growth of India. As the result of that, that is industry affected, agriculture affected, service sector affected, overall economic growth affected. As the result of that, employment generation very adversely affected. And rate of unemployment increased very rapidly. Take example, in 2019, it was 7.3%. It rose to 23.4%. It crossed 24% to 25% in the post-lockdown period. When unemployment increases, people's livelihoods loss. People are not in a position to get minimum income as well. And the problem of starvation, the problem of poverty, that was observed. That was observed in India in the post-lockdown period. And therefore, this unemployment problem, according to CMIC, about 140 million people's jobs were lost because of the lockdown policy. And in the export sector, that job loss was of 50 million jobs lost because of lockdown. And in textile industry, it was 3 million jobs was lost. All of us know we have formal employment of less than 10%. And more than 90% is our informal employment. And in this informal employment, there are 45 crore people are working. And out of that, 40% are migrant. 40% are migrant. So far as employment generation and unemployment is concerned, manufacturing sector was very adversely affected in employment generation and consequently increasing unemployment. Then construction was adversely affected, trade was adversely affected, transport was very adversely affected, housing accommodation was very adversely affected, and that contributed to unemployment. All of us know when lockdown policy was adopted, no planning was there, and consequently, informal sector hit very hard. And people are not in a position to survive as well because they were not in a position to get even minimum income which was required. And consequently, they tried to migrate from working places to their native places, and transport was not there. Thousands of people, thousands of kilometers, they covered a distance on foot, and accidents were there, deaths were took place, number of things happened, but that is there. At a global level, Oxfam report was published. And as per Oxfam report, as a globe, at a global level, 500 million people have been shifted into poverty because of this lockdown policy. And in that proportion, India suffered a lot. And for that reason, the financial package which was required is 2.5 trillion American dollars. This gives us an intensity that how unemployment decrease, unemployment increase, informal laborers, migrated laborers adversely affected, they shifted into poverty, and consequently that posed a very important problem of their survival. Now, as a remedy, the government of India has declared economic stimulus package. We call it as a financial package as well. And that package is actually in two parts, part one and part two. Government says it also covers the announcements and measures adopted by the government, Reserve Bank of India also. Government says it is a package of 20 lakh crore rupees, and it is worth of 10% of GDP. In addition to that, the government also desires to bring about economic reforms through privatization in the sectors coal, minerals, defense, solar, space, electricity, atomic energy, air transport, education, and health. That is in the future. Privatization of health, education, then coal, mineral, defense, space, electricity, atomic energy, air transport, that will be observed. Now, the government of India's package, it was declared in two parts. In the first part, it was just 0.85% of GDP. And the economic stimulus package given by other countries, take example America, it is more than 10%. Spain, it is more than 15%. Germany, it is more than 20%. In England, it is more than 15%. Even in Australia, it is more than 8%. In Malaysia, it is more than 16%. And ours was just 0.85%. Now, this gives us a comparison of economic stimulus package of India in comparison with the foreign countries. Now, Reserve Bank of India adopted some measures to increase credit supply in Indian economy, to increase loans and advances into Indian economy, to increase liquidity into Indian economy. And for that reason, it adopted the policy of decreasing repo and reverse repo rates, lower interest credit supply, increasing liquidity, mutual fund support, financial support to NABARD, CDB, non-bank financial corporations, housing, etc. were declared. Now, in the second package, comprising first package, government says it is more than 20 lakh crore rupees, that is 20 lakh 97,000 like that. And that was prominently given to micro, small, medium enterprises. The details are here. Energy is there, non-bank financial corporations are there, provident fund is there. For a poor section of the society, for rural development, NABARD, Manrega, then for migrant laborers, for street vendors, for mudra businessmen, for employees, that provident fund. Then agriculture and allied activities. In agriculture and allied activities, agriculture infrastructure, animal disease control, beekeeping, animal infrastructure, medical plants, all that have been given. And already I have mentioned that reforms through privatization, the government wants to bring about, that is there. When this total package is taken into account, in addition to that, recently only, World Bank has given loans or package to India, especially for micro, small, medium enterprises. It is 75 million American dollars. And the details are like this, that in the form of loan, World Bank has recently on July 2nd has given some financial assistance. Whatever the financial package the government of India has given of, it says it is of 20 lakh crore rupees and it is 10% of GDP. But according to experts, when it is actually calculated, it brings or it comes at less than 1%, that is 0.91%. And some of the institutions and experts have studied that package. And according to them, it is 0.7% according to Morgan and Stanley. Philip Capital said it is 0.8%. Nomura says it is 0.9%. Then Citibank said it is 1%. In general, it is 1% of GDP that financial package is there. The peculiarity of the financial package is that it has a more or major loan component than the component of direct assistance to the beneficiaries. But in foreign countries, the financial package or economic stimulus package has a major component of direct transfer of income from government to the beneficiary. Take example, some examples I will cite. In Canada, 27 billion US dollars have been given for 2,000 US dollar per month for 4 months to job loss losers, and 1,250 American dollars per month for 4 months to the graduates, and 75% wage subsidy and 30% revenue gap will be made through the 27 billion US dollar package given by Canada, and prominently it has a major component of direct transfer of income from government to the people. Another example, France. France given 100% wage subsidy, and it has given directly 1,250 pounds for craftsmen and other retailers. What does this mean? This means that foreign economic stimulus package or financial package has a direct transfer of income component more than the loan component, but reverses the situation in the case of India. Now, government says we have given more emphasis on the development of small, micro, medium enterprises. But in this package, to the small, micro, medium enterprises also, a loan component is more than the direct transfer of income component. But in foreign countries, to small businesses, whatever financial package is given, it has a major contribution of direct transfer of income from government to the beneficiary. Take example in America, $50 billion have been given to the small businesses. $2 trillion rescue package is given to small and businesses. 10 million US dollar package loans without interest is given to small businesses, and 221 billion tax reductions and deferral payments have been given to the businessmen. This means that direct transfer of income is a major component. Even in entire economic lockdown, economic stimulus package, financial package, as well as in the package which is given to the small businesses, but reverses the situation so far as Indian economy is concerned. Now, all of us know unlock 1 is completed. Now we are in the phase of unlock 2nd. How it is affecting the recovery of the economy? Take example, manufacturing sector growth on May 20 was minus 3.8%. Service sector growth was minus 12.6% on May 20. And growth of the economy, entire growth was minus 14.8%. Some employment has been generated worth of 21 million jobs. that addition is there, but it is just informal sector employment. Now, so suppose auto sector revival is taken into account, it is found that Maruti Suzuki production has decreased by 89% on 20 May 20. Hyundai production decreased by 84%. This shows that to the extent required, revival or recovery is very slow. It is very lower. That is the case of truck capacity utilization, petrol sale, FASTag, railway freight. Some improvement is taking place, no doubt, but it is just meager. It is just marginal. It is not to the extent desirable. It is not to the extent the expected that is there. Power consumption is increasing, fertilizer use is increasing, but it is not to the extent desirable, or it is not to the level compared to the pre-lockdown period that is there. This talks about revival in automobile, smartphone, physical retail, e-commerce, then real estate, cars, restaurant, power. Improvement is taking place, but it is not positive, it is negative. It is compared to the post pre-lockdown period. It is negative, it is lower, it is meager that is there. And some employment generation is taking place. It is in informal sector. It is also not adequate. It is also inadequate so far as it is concerned. Now, unemployment rate has increased to 25%. That is there, and a little bit fall is observed. Some employment generation is taking place, but it is not to the extent desirable. It is very low. It is very meager. It is very marginal growth in employment, and consequently fall in unemployment that is taking place. This talks about recent position on June 20th. The improvement that has taken place. No doubt, some GST collection has improved. That manufacturing sector index has been improved, but it is compared to the pre-lockdown period, it is lower. It is lower. Exports have improved, but it is lower. That is also of crucial importance. Now, till this moment, what I was trying to bring to your notice is that economic growth has been adversely affected, GDP has been adversely affected, agriculture sector has been adversely affected, industry sector has been adversely affected, service sector has been adversely affected, its sub-sectors have been adversely affected. And the prominent determinants are that demand is decreasing, investment is decreasing, export is decreasing, government expenditure is decreasing, and the related indicators that I have tried to explain before you so far as the determinants of economic growth or adverse economic growth is concerned. Now, coming to what does this mean? What are major conclusions of my lecture, my study? Number one, when we observe COVID-19 virus infection, it is increasing continuously and rapidly. It is increasing continuously and rapidly. After second lockdown, it is continuously increasing. And prominently after unlock 1 and unlock 2, it is very rapidly increasing. It is increasing. That is a policy implication. Number two, lockdown policy has limited effect on controlling COVID-19 infection. It has limited effect. Up to second lockdown, it was good. But after that, it was just ineffective. That is there. Then it has lockdown policy has very adverse effect on economic growth, GDP, industry, trade, agriculture, service sector, very adverse effect, very biggest adverse effect. In last 40 years, in last 50 years, that has not taken place. Such adverse effect that has taken place. Employment generation has fallen very rapidly. It was stagnant only. It was just unchanging. Just a little bit improvement is taking place. Consequently, unemployment is increasing rapidly. In the country like us, rate of unemployment is 24%, 25%, 26%. Economics theory says 3% unemployment rate is affordable because it is known as a natural unemployment, and that can remain there because of technological change, because of changes in taste and habits of the people. But 25%, 24%, 26% unemployment means, and we have a demographic dividend. More than 60% population is in the age, is young population. It is in the age group 15 to 27, 29 years. And it is just unproductivity. It has no work at all. That has happened, and that requires to be taken into account. Employment generation stopped, and we have more than 90% informal unemployment. And laborers working in informal employment very adversely affected. Very adversely affected. Survivor problem is there. They are not in a position to fulfill, satisfy the want for food, the want for shelter, the want for medicine. They are not in a position to get satisfied or fulfill that happen. And consequently, about 45 crore people are working in informal employment, and 40% are migrant laborers, and they suffered a lot. They have a problem of how to survive. They have a problem of what to eat. They have a problem of how to give a room rent. A lot of problem in Mumbai, a lot of problems in Pune, a lot of problems in Delhi, a lot of problems in other areas as well. That took place, and hard hit informal labor and migrant labor, and survival problem was a major problem before that. Economic stimulus package given by the government, it is just inadequate. In reality, 1% of GDP additional or more stimulus package is required, and it has a more loan component than the component of direct transfer of money from government to the people or to the public. But this lockdown policy has favorably affected environment. That is, air pollution has control, water pollution has control, noise pollution has control, use of natural resource depletion has taken place, fluoride is observed, fauna is observed, biodiversity is observed, that are favorable effect, but it is limited. It is limited. It cannot be continuous. It cannot be sustainable. It cannot be longer period. Special efforts are required. That is there. Now, moving towards the last part of my lecture, what policy measures are required? What can be policy measures? Number one, urgently a new financial or economic stimulus package is required. And it should be sector specific. For agriculture separate, industry separate, for labor separate, for migrant labor separate, for social security separate. Sector specific financial package are required. Those packages should have a more proportion of direct transfer of income from government to the beneficiaries. Direct transfer is required. That promotes purchasing power, that promotes demand, that promotes provides stimulus to economic growth. Economic activities can be motivated, and as the result of that, that can help us in revival of the economy. Now, across the globe, basic universal income scheme is being adopted. It is a right of the people to survive, and whatever is required for the basic survival, it should be provided by the government. And that's a policy being adopted. It has been adopted by many of the countries in the world. And now it is urgent need of the hour to adopt in India also. Because we have more than 45 crore people working in informal, and more than 40% people are migrant workers. And those have been very adversely affected by this lockdown policy because fall in employment generation and increasing unemployment. So they should be given minimum income, basic income that can be 7,500 per month. That we provided, and when they will be settled, they will get their job, they will get their employment, and it is adequate, then it can be restricted, it can be stopped. But urgently, the policy of basic universal income, minimum income, is necessary to be implemented quickly and immediately. That is there. Now, India has an adequate supply of food grains. That is, wheat is there, rice is there, jawar is there, pulses are there, and government should distribute free of cost to all poor, to all workers, to all informal laborers, and to all migrant laborers, because food grain that is perishable. If we didn't distribute, we have adequate stock of food grains, and Rabi season is favorable. So addition in the stock of food grains will take place. So it is urgently needed to distribute that available food to poor, to workers, to laborers, to informal workers to migrant laborers, all strata of the society, all poor from different or all strata of the society that is there. Now the government is implementing Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, under which food grains are being distributed. Actually, the scheme was like this: 5 kilogram per month to every individual, either rice or wheat, and 1 kilo that dal, that chana dal or any dal, that is pulses, to every family. But in reality, the distribution was it was different. The distribution was for a family that 5 kg wheat or rice was given and 1 kg dal, it was distributed. That was not expected. That was not desired. And the recent study, the recent data given by Food Corporation of India tells us that just 15% households or people have been benefited from the distribution of free of cost food grains. What does this mean? This means that so far as the implementation of this scheme is concerned, we are just inefficient. We are not sincere, honest, and rigorous. And in the future, the rigorousness is there, sincerity is there, honesty is there in the distribution. And the distribution should be for every individual 5 kilogram either rice or wheat and 1 kilogram dal or chana dal to every family. That distribution should be taken. So Manrega should be made intensive and extensive for employment generation. And recent experience tells us that to that extent desirable and expected, Manrega didn't generate employment in rural areas. Even additional provision has been made of the finance in the financial package given. This means that implementation of Manrega doesn't take place properly. So that should be made honestly, rigorously. Employment to be given to the maximum extent possible to the major population in the rural areas. Such a scheme should be implemented in urban areas also, because in urban areas, number of poor people are there working in the informal sector is there. To that extent, employment generation is not taking place, and there is a problem of survival before them. And therefore, the scheme like Manrega, like that of rural areas, that should be also implemented in the urban areas also there, so that poor can get some income, poor can get some employment, can purchasing power, and for that reason, that will help. That is there. Then there is a necessity of opening of the economy. That is, removal of the lockdown is necessary. Already I have mentioned that it didn't become effective in controlling infection of the COVID-19. But this is also true that in the unlockdown period also, unlock 1 is completed and unlock 2 is in process, it is in operation. Number of cases has been increasing. It is not, it is because of unlock only increasing, tests are increasing and consequently number is increasing, that is one hand. But on the other hand, it is also ground reality where people have become careless. They are not using mask, they are not following rules of transportation, that is there. So people should be responsible, citizens should be responsible, they should follow the protocol like use of sanitizer, use of hand wash, maintaining of safe distancing, it is not being implemented, and also that face mask that is necessary. It is just neglected. People are behaving carelessly. That should be stopped. Otherwise, it will be very, very intensive problem. It will be very, very challenge, intensive challenge before India and Indian society. So that precaution is necessary to be taken. At the same time, opening of the economy is required, because we have in implementation unlock from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. It is just limited period. And in this limited period, the improvement to the extent desirable, to the extent expected will not take place. And therefore, unlocking is required. But at the same time, people should take a precaution of hand wash, sanitizer, face mask, as well as safe distancing. That precaution is required. But unlocking, opening of the economy is required. It is necessary to remove that curfew, that at least working hours from 7 to 7 should be there. Actually, industries, business activity should be given more period, because there is a restriction of number of employees to be employed, 15% like that. In this restricted situation, recovery of the economy is rather difficult. recovery of the industry, recovery of the service, recovery of the GDP is rather very difficult. So in that direction also, there is a need for taking precaution. Banking and financial sector should be more liberalized. More loans and advances should be extended to the people, to the industrialist businessmen who are in urgent need, farmers, laborers. Emphasis on infrastructure development should be given so that employment can be generated. In the forthcoming policy of growth or development, pro-employment policy should be there. This is growth and this employment generation will take place. That matrix is necessary to be presented, because just growth without employment has no meaning at all. We have a demographic dividend, we have a young population, we should have employment generation a priority in the growth also that is required. And as already I have mentioned that people should be more responsible. Citizens of India should be more responsible. They should use sanitizer, they should use hand wash, they should use face mask, they should maintain safe distancing. I should not say, or we should not say social distancing, because it has a negative meaning. Actual is physical distancing or safe distance is there, and at the same time a stimulus package along with the policies that I have suggested, and opening of the economy and major contribution, precautions of the people, the sum totality of that, the package of that can help us in realizing twin objectives. On the one hand, revival of the economy. On the other hand, economic growth of the economy. Same way in employment generation, controlling unemployment, providing livelihoods to the people and their survival on the one hand, and on the other hand, control of the infection of COVID-19 that is taking place. In this direction, if the efforts are being made, I am damn sure, I am confident that revival of the economy will take place. At the same time, control of the infected cases from COVID-19 virus, that will also take place. Last but not the least, I am very much thankful to one and all for patience listening. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. If any questions are there, I am very much eager to respond to them. I am very much eager to answer them. Once again, I am thankful to this RR Patil College, all participants, principal of this college, my faculty members, and dear participants. Thank you very much, one and all. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Hello. Hello.
Yes, audible. It is audible.
Ah, Thank you, sir. Thank you. Very useful, visionary, realistic, good analyst, and very enlightening lectures you have delivered. I request all participants, those who are willing to ask any questions regarding this topic to our person, the Honorable Dr. P. Ekbar, they can ask P.S. Kamble, sir. Sorry, P.S. Kamble, sir. Thank you, sir. नहीं. हॅलो हॅलो
हॅलो.
आवाज येतोय?
आहे.
Hello, thanks, sir. Very useful, visionary, realistic, good analyzed, and enlightening lectures you have delivered. Now I request all the participants, if you have any questions regarding this topic, you can ask directly to our resource person, Honorable Dr. P.S. Kamble.
जिस माहौल में सेलिब्रिटी है उसके हिसाब से क्यों दिया जाता है, एक चंक होता है, उस चंक को बाद में स्टूडियो में जाके एडिट करके ब्रॉडकास्ट करना. दैट्स ऑल. ओके.
Hello.
हॅलो. सर पुढचं हे केलं तर
सर.
हा.
पुढचं सेशन सुरू करू का? मला
हा.
काहीच इकडं ऐकू आलं नाही.
ओके, नो प्रॉब्लेम. क्वेश्चन का नाही आहे पुढचं
हा,
session
मग
चालू
डायरेक्ट
करा.
वोट ऑफ थँक्स घ्यायला सुरू का?
Yes, yes.
हम्म?
हो हो.
हॅलो.
हा, घ्या पुढे.
हा हा, मी देतो मी पुढे. नाव आय बेस्ट डॉक्टर बी डी अवघडे सर टू एक्सप्रेस वोट ऑफ थँक्स. थँक्यू सर.
On behalf of IQAC and Department of Economics, I am very thankful to today's Chief Speaker, Dr. P.S. Kamble, who delivered enlightening speech on impact of COVID-19 on Indian economy and policy forward. I also thankful to Honorable Principal Dr. R.S. More Sahib, who motivates and guides to organize this webinar. I thanks IQAC coordinator Professor F.S. Sirsat sir. I also thank to all the participants and supporting staff, especially Mr. Sanjit Desai. Finally, with the permission of honorables, I would like to declare that this webinar is over here successfully. Thank you. Thank you. Lot of thanks.